Welcome, Patriots. As we are ramping up for this holiday season, we have a lot to cover. It has been a week, not necessarily a port in a storm, but help is coming. If it's in your sights, it's on my radar. We'll be airborne shortly. Welcome, Patriots. We have a fabulous episode of Ravens Radar planned for you today. I, like most of you, are watching the news and still trying to find a glimmer of hope and sanity in our world. But like everything else we do, let's talk about what's happening and solutions, what we're going to do to fix it. The first thing that everybody is talking about is the Brittany Griner release from Russian penal colony. I have to make this position clear, and I want to tell patriots who are listening and watching that this is my perspective as the daughter of two retired Air Force lieutenant colonels, the wife of a retired C-17 pilot, military maid. I was Texas-born military maid, and this hits really close to home. When you have people who are in service to this country, who are fighting the ugly, dirty, dangerous fights that most of us never see, you learn one thing, which is we cannot show weakness. Peace through strength. I literally grew up listening to the phrase, "We don't negotiate with terrorists." I'm old enough to remember when Iran released their terrorists without something for us in the 1980s. Because they knew Reagan was coming and it was not going to be a pretty sight. And we can officially say that those days are gone. Brittany Griner has come home, and we have in return released Victor Bout, who is a prolific arms dealer. He is responsible directly and indirectly for the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans and people. It is a travesty. We gave up the merchant of death to secure probably the only watched trade in the WNBA to date. Absolutely horrific. And I tell people who are saying, well, isn't it good that we brought her home? It's always good when we bring Americans home. It is not good that we left Paul Whelan still in Russia, who's been there since 2018. He was a law enforcement. He was military, Marine guy, and we left him as part of the trade. And instead, we got a WNBA player who was arrested on a petty drug charge, and we released somebody who has been documented to kill tens of thousands of people. I just don't even have words. This is going to make us less safe. So that's the issue for the ones who are asking, well, what's the big issue? The big issue is now we have shown that we are willing to surrender, because this was not a trade, it was a surrender. We are willing to give up a terrorist the caliber of Victor Bout in order to save a basketball player who pleaded guilty to bringing drugs into Russia. I don't have words, so if you're abroad, please take extra care, because this is what preempts people to start kidnapping Americans and trying to get ransom, because we've shown that we'll give anybody for anything. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I just want to remind patriots, too, that by this time in 1776, we would have already had tea in the harbor. It would have been the Earl of Grey Harbor we would be protecting right now. We have got to start learning how to push back on this. Make some noise. While Biden is doing a victory lap before his nap, I would warn patriots that this is not a celebration. It is a failure. We don't negotiate with terrorists. And not only in this case did we negotiate with a terrorist, we negotiated with a terrorist for a terrorist. It's a double whammy, and it's a foreign policy debacle. It's Afghanistan 2.0. We left Paul Whelan stranded. We brought home Brittany Griner. And this administration continues to be a joke. Well, we also have some movement now in my home state here of Texas, the GOP has called for a vote of no confidence and shaking up the Republican leadership, a vote of no confidence in Ronna McDaniel. There is a lot of evidence and substance to back this up, but the important thing is this is progress, Patriots. This is it. We are starting to push back. We are tired of this milquetoast, say one thing, do nothing. I can't even say do another, do nothing. Say one thing and do nothing leadership, all talk, uniparty, results-less, baseless, inspired-less party. And we are calling for a no confidence vote. That's what needs to be happening. I want Patriots to see that when we get involved, when we make our voices heard, when we put fire and heat to the leadership, things get done and the popcorn will be ready. So that's what we need to do. And leading into that, we have a fabulous guest to talk about that. Today, we're going to have as a special guest is Gavin Wax. Gavin Wax is the president of the New York City Young Republicans, and he is a thought provoker. He is a conversationalist. He is a contributor to Newsmax and several other conservative outlets. He gave a speech recently at the Young Republicans convention, and it is a barn burner. Take a look at the clip.
But ladies and gentlemen, we want more offenses. We want flanking maneuvers. We want to cross the Rubicon. We want total war. We must be prepared to do battle in every arena, in the media, in the courtroom, at the ballot box, and in the streets. This is the only language the left understands, the language of pure and unadulterated power. For our decadent technocratic overlords expect to lull us into a deep sleep through technology, ubiquitous propaganda, and artificial prosperity created under a mountain of debt. Many have fallen under a spell and content to accept their subjugation with a smile on their face buried under 3 masks that they wear as a sign of mindless obsequiousness. I see no masks in the audience, so you're all good. They have become nothing more than serfs to the elites. So I declare tonight, no more bringing a knife to a gunfight. When they ballot harvest, we ballot harvest. When they early vote, we early vote. When they mail in, we mail in. And when they litigate, we litigate. Use every weapon at our disposal. No more whining about the hypocrisy. No more complaining about the double standards. No more kvetching about what is fair. Fight, win, govern. And when we secure power once more, we must govern with a ruthless efficiency. We must waste no time in passing legislation, in issuing executive orders, in breaking up corporate monopolies, in prosecuting the corrupt, in cleaning house of the federal bureaucracy, and in appointing an army of energetic, ambitious, patriotic, ideologically committed, and God-fearing young men and women to staff the administration of state. We demand nothing short of a complete and total national renewal, free of corporate special interests, free of foreign influence, and committed only to upholding traditional American values and our national sovereignty.
Woo! Now you speak in my language. That's it right there. We are talking about all the hit points. That's where we need to get. You do not have to tease this Native American constitutional conservative with Texas tea in her veins with a good time. Let's bring it. Gavin is on fire, and we're getting ready to have him take us through what the next phase looks like.
Make your Yuletide memories huge this Christmas with the Tweeter of the Free World Covfefe Table Book, the perfect gift for all seasons. Retweet to a simpler time when our flag had only 3 colors, schools had 2 genders, the border was real, and inflation was reserved for party balloons celebrating low crime, low taxes, and affordable food and gas for all. Now you can reminisce over the good old days when our only issues were Russia, fake news, witch hunts, and crooked Hillary. The tweeter of the free world has all of Trump's greatest tweets, including Benghazi, fake news, Barack Obama, and who could forget Little Rocket Man?
But it is much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works.
The Covfefe Table Book will be cherished for generations. Relive the greatest tweets of all time by the greatest president of all time. Go to thetweeterofthefreeworld.com now to get your copy for the low price of $39.99.
Make your Christmas great again.
Well, Patriots, I am excited. We've got a good, fabulous, great, awesome, spectacular, and energizing guest. It is my pleasure to welcome Gavin Wax to Ravens Radar. Gavin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Oh my goodness, Gavin, that's a viral video of you that you just spoke at the Young Republicans Gala, and I'm telling you, it was fire. So is it safe to say that no one can hold a candle to you?
I mean, there's a lot of great talent on the right, so I don't want to say that, but it certainly was a speech full of fire and brimstone. I think it was a speech that needed to be given. I think there were a lot of people in that 600-person room that were looking for energy. They were looking for fire. They were looking for pushback against all the disasters and embarrassments we've seen since the election. And I think I gave it to them, and I'm glad people are sharing it. It's going viral, and many are appreciating the words within the speech.
We are. And I'm telling you, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, even though I don't know if you caught the candle and wax reference. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I'll see myself out. But I wanted to tell you, let's talk about that, because we are very light with solutions on what to do about what's happening. We alluded in our previous segment to some shakeup and changes in leadership, but give people the cliff notes on your thoughts of what needs to happen here with Republican leadership.
Well, we need a full-scale house cleaning of the Republican Party from top to bottom. The leadership, the establishment have completely and utterly failed their voters and constituents. They have been incapable of winning the victories that need to be won, victories that should have been won from the Senate to the House to governorships, you name it. So they have failed in the most incompetent and embarrassing of fashions, and we need to replace the Mick leadership triumvirate of the GOP, McConnell, McCarthy, McDaniel, and we need a house cleaning. And until we get new leadership that truly understands the future direction of the Republican Party, that fully understands how to beat the Dems at their own game, and until that happens, we are not going to actually be a cohesive force to push back against the left. So I'm calling for a complete gutting of the Republican establishment and replacing it with conservative warriors, trademark there, to replace them and lead us into new victories in 2024 and beyond.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that. This is something I said on the campaign trail, Gavin, many, many times. It doesn't do any good to take the house back if you don't clean it first. That's what we wanted, because we talked about people assume that this is just an issue of they're cheating at the ballot box, and this is so multifaceted. Where are we losing it? Because you are correct. We are losing these on things that we should have been able to stand up for and push back. What are the issues that Republicans are just giving away right now?
I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, the list is so long. They're giving up on the border. They're giving up on culture. They're giving up on social issues. They're giving up on, protecting American industry. I mean, they're surrendering everything to the left. They're surrendering to the left's narrative, to their frame, and they want to go back to being a token opposition that gets pats on the head from big donors and the, Chamber of Commerce and all the rest. But we need real fighters. We need people to fight back. We're bringing knives to gunfights. We need to fight tooth and nail against the left. I said it in my speech. If they're going to ballot harvest, we should be ballot harvesting in states that we're allowed to. If they're going to mail in votes, we should be mailing in votes. If they're going to early vote, we should early vote. We need to use all the tactics and weapons at our disposal politically to fight back. And we are surrendering too much ground politically to the left. And the left is able to energize their, frankly, very apathetic voter base this past election because they had a massive runway of over a month to collect early votes. They were able to get them to mail in, and then they were able to ballot harvest them if neither of those worked. So they were able to make up for their apathy and lack of energy with all these tactics. And then we only vote on election day, and then we vote on election day, and then we still lose, even though we vote overwhelmingly. So we just need to realize that the rules of the game have changed, and we have to play by those rules. And once we win, we can change the rules. But we can't complain about the rules right now because it's already been set in stone. And if you're upset about them being set in stone, I'm with you. But that again goes back to the Republican Party's ineptness in allowing these different electoral methods to become law. But let's play the game to win. Let's win, and then we'll rewrite the rule book.
Absolutely. I feel like I know, Patriots, do not adjust your screen. This is something I say all the time, especially in Texas, about bringing a knife to a gunfight and having to fight fire with fire. And you are spitting it right here, Gavin. This is what people need to hear. What they need to hear is we're giving it away. I have my own thoughts, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on specifically early voting, because in my opinion, early voting is a parameter that tells them what the boundaries of cheat are. What are your thoughts on early voting in general?
I mean, absolutely. It's definitely a useful tool for them because they can measure what they need to do to overcome our generally historical, election day massive victories. So they get the numbers they need to rally. But if it was up to me, we would only have one day of voting. We wouldn't have mail-in. We wouldn't have early voting unless, you're in the military or you have some sort of disability or something like that. But unfortunately, we don't have those rules. So I think Republicans, we should engage in early voting. There's a lot of Republicans out there that don't come out often enough as they should to vote in these elections. And we can get them to rally earlier by doing early voting campaign tactics and getting them to come out and vote early, because we're still going to win on election day, but we need to have that ramp up period because there's a lot of apathetic Republican voters. Maybe they only come out for Trump, maybe they only come out for certain candidates, but if we use that month-long ramp or whatever it is, we can make up ground. So look, it's not the best. I don't want to I would like to live in a country where we have one election day and that's it. We don't. So we're going to have to learn how to fight. And we don't even have to win these votes outright. We don't have to win the early vote. We just need to win on the margins because we're always going to win on election day. And election day is what's going to push us over. But we can't cede so much during the early vote because if we cede enough ground, that's where we have these narrow defeats that we saw this past election cycle.
There it is. I mean, Patriots, are you listening? This is what I'm always saying. Preach, Gavin. This is it. Republicans who don't vote elect Democrats. Okay, that's been proven time and time again. But more importantly, people wanting to know what they can do, what you can do. This is verbs in the sentences. This is where we need to get. We need to stop these apathetic voters for voting for milquetoast Republicans. That's where we have to be doers of the word. And is there accountability that you see needs to happen? I'm telling you, in the congressional race that I ran in, people voting, they don't even know what they're voting for. And do you see a little of that? Is it a different tide of informed voter now going forward, Gavin? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. An informed voter is the establishment's most feared opposition. We need Republicans, conservatives, the grassroots to get involved in their local party, to become, county committeemen or precinct leaders. Each state has different terms, but they need to get involved in their local party apparatus where they can elect the local party officers, who then go on to elect the state officers, who then go on to elect the national officers. That's how we're going to change the party. You got to call your committeemen, your national committee man, national committee woman, tell them to vote against McDaniel. You got to call your members of Congress, tell them to vote against McCarthy. And we have to be also involved in the primaries. We have to get involved at the primary level. It's not just the one election, the general election, that we're struggling to get people to vote for. We need to get people to vote in the primaries themselves and to vote in America First conservative populist candidates, because the primaries are frankly the most important battle in many of these races. In many of these races, yes, the general election may not even be competitive. So that's where the primaries is super important to make sure that we push over the edge our candidates and make sure they go on to the general election and win.
And that's something I want to, as we're wrapping up, really want to hit on, because I'm not only an America First, I'm a first American. Did you guys catch that? It's a good thing. But what I want to specifically hit in on is, and you have a lot of expertise in this, the leadership. This is a trickle-down effect of terrible leadership. So as you can say, we've had Texas just voted a no confidence in Ronna McDaniels because she tends to support the pluricats like her uncle. Tell me your thoughts on what we need to see now in the RNC leadership, who has utterly failed.
I think right now we need to rally behind and get behind Harmeet Dillon. I think she is the most viable conservative alternative to Ronna McDaniel. I think she has the grassroots on her side. She has the energy on her side. There's a lot of people in the conservative commentators, pundits, whoever, who are getting behind her. I think this is the person who can lead the fight against Ronna McDaniel and win. But it's definitely still an uphill fight. It's definitely not a guaranteed win. She has a lot of the states in the bag. She may already have the votes in the bag, but it's important to put up a fight, to send a message, and to keep everyone on notice, because we have because Ronna McDaniel has presided over a series of defeats from 2018 to 2020 to 2022. We cannot have another defeat in 2024. Our republic is on the line. Our country is on the line, and we need to clean house. We need new leadership so we can fight back. We can win against the Democrats, and we can govern effectively and return America to some sort of semblance of sanity and common sense.
Amen, because a house divided cannot stand, and that seems to be where we are right now with the leadership of between the grassroots and the establishment elites, and this isn't going to work on any front. And I would wager to say, is it your guess that the Dems are already planning their strategy for, you can't even say cheating, because what they do is they get in after this and then they try to make these things law, so it's not actually cheating. But they're probably already ramping up for 2024 while we're still pointing fingers at what happened on November 8th.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's got to, Gavin, this has been a breath of, this is the fight. This is what people need to see. They want to see, because this is the essence of communism. I have military parents. I have lived in communism. And the essence of communism is to mentally and emotionally break you first, to feel like you can't overcome the system. Gavin, it has been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you on the show today. Tell the Patriots who are listening and watching where they can find you and how they can get involved with what you're doing.
Well, again, thank you for having me on. This was a pleasure. You can follow me at Gavin Wax, GavinWax, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. And you can follow the club, the New York Young Republican Club, at NYYRC, NYYRC.com, oldest and largest young Republican club in the country. And we look forward to having you all at our next event and next year's gala.
It's going to be fantastic. So, Patriots, but before I let you go, we have to ask the most important question, that I should have gotten to or led with, which is, what is New York pizza, and does pineapple belong on it?
No pineapple on pizza. That's disgusting. And New York pizza is just the best pizza. I mean, I'm above a pizza place right now. My apartment is above a good pizza place. So I smell it every day. But yeah, we have the best pizza, and pineapple certainly does not belong on it. I'm sorry to say. Okay,
now we can be friends. Patriots, that's what you are hearing. And again, Gavin, thank you so much for the fight. Guys, get involved. Reach out to Gavin. Follow him on social media. Get involved. If you can't be on the front lines, support those of us who are. Gavin, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Make your Yuletide memories huge this Christmas with the Tweeter of the Free World Covfefe Table Book, the perfect gift for all seasons. Retweet to a simpler time when our flag had only 3 colors, schools had 2 genders, the border was real, and inflation was reserved for party balloons celebrating low crime, low taxes, and affordable food and gas for all. Now you can reminisce over the good old days when our only issues were Russia, fake news, witch hunts, and crooked Hillary. The Tweeter of the Free World has all of Trump's greatest tweets, including Benghazi, fake news, Barack Obama, and who could forget Little Rocket Man?
But it is much bigger and more powerful one than his, and my button works.
The Covfefe Table Book will be cherished for generations. Relive the greatest tweets of all time by the greatest president of all time. Go to thetweeterofthefreeworld.com now to get your copy for the low price of $39.99.
Make your Christmas great again.
Well, Patriots, I don't know about you, but I am definitely energized. Having Gavin Wax on here, someone who is a doer, that's something I say often. Faith without works is dead. Got to be a doer of the word. So if you are not involved with your local organizations, your elected officials, if you're not paying attention, this is a time to get involved. This is how it's done. We have to stop getting it from a trickle from the elites to a roar from the base. That's where we need, from a trickle to a roar. So get involved, make noise. Let them know that we are ready for this change. We are ready to take our country back. And quite frankly, we're not asking. This is happening. And that's where we need to be, patriots. In the meantime, I just want to remind all of our patriots and tell them that the book, the much anticipated How Does One Make a Conservative Warrior? I'm going to tell you, it's quite a story. The Vegas massacre, having parents in the Pentagon 9/11, being on the forefront of some of history's most pivotal events has given me a perspective you don't want to miss. It's going to be available for pre-sale. Go to ravenharrison.com. Join us on social media, Raven's Radar and Raven the Conservative Warrior on all social media platforms, including Truth Social. And we are going to look forward to seeing you next time. We can do this.